A Gen Z is just lazy, entitled, and impossible to manage, or do most business owners just fucking suck at leadership?
That's a huge question.
Owners, managers, we're going to join the dots here. There is a fucking blend. Like, we're going to find this. There's no other way.
Gen Zers are annoying the crap out of me, and I don't know how to manage them, motivate them, or just do I avoid them altogether?
Do you avoid Gen Zers? You're going to be fucked if you avoid Gen Zers, because like that is the next generation that we have to hire.
If there's like a Gen Z hiring cheat sheet, one of the things that like throws an alarm off straight away is...
For context, what percentage of those 500 managers that we've worked with had clear KPIs and clear coaching from their owners?
I wish I was joking when I say there were none.
Oh my God.
What the fuck did they do about it?
Okay, so let me break this down. What's the worst hiring mistake you've ever made? What's one non-negotiable trait every great manager should have?
The ability to...
A Gen Z is just lazy, entitled, and impossible to manage, or do most business owners just fucking suck at leadership?
That's a huge question. Let's fucking
Let's dig
roll
into
into
it.
it.
Let's dig in.
Oh, that's a juicy intro. Welcome back to the Jerome Unfiltered podcast. We're doing a new format now. We're doing a Hey Dozer segment. It's going to be a question and answer live, interactive. We've got some viewers and callers on the hook. We've got some questions that have been asked into us. Soph's brought some questions, and Benny's got some questions as well. Speaking of, welcome aboard, Sophie and Benjamin. Soph, what's happening?
Here. At the moment, I'm really into and loving the book Extreme Ownership. So I wanted to bring that to the pod today.
When did you learn how to read?
Dozers told me to read this book for about 3 years. Idiot for not doing it sooner. But since then, I can't tell enough people about it. And I reckon about 10 or so people have actually bought it. So if this influences you to do so, I'd love to know so we can do a bit of book club virtually.
What are you getting from it? What's the number one thing you're getting from it?
It's all on you, and that's a beautiful thing.
Who?
That's the good news, you know, on me. It's
Thank
all
you.
on me, and that's amazing. Like, it's great news because it gives you so much more control over your life.
Let's get unfiltered a little bit. No one's listening. Where have you implemented this in your life? Where did you used to blame and now you're taking more ownership?
I had and still am working through not liking failure, not liking losing. And it's so much easier to look at where external factors are to blame than to like look at yourself and go, well, you don't have this skill yet and you're not good enough yet. And that's okay. So what are you going to do about it? And then choosing to respond rather than react, having a plan. Even if it wasn't directly me who fucked something up, that's on me. I missed something.
Yeah.
And then instead of getting all like shame spirally about it, going straight into action, it's just way better. You have so much more control and capacity expands and you can put that in all areas of your life.
Yeah, well, apology accepted. How are you, Benny?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
What's happening?
Mate, I want to give a shout out to our team.
Yes.
So yeah, end of last year, we did the usual thing. We sat down, we did all the business goals and all that kind of stuff. Dozer took us through this thing called the Achievement Roadmap, where we did some personal goal setting as well on top of that.
Yeah.
And in the space of a month, we've got people doubling how many steps they're doing. We've got people eating healthy. One of our team members got a bench press record. Shout out to me.
That was you. We've got
And we did this in December.
Yeah.
It's early February now, so it's barely been a month. And 2 of our team members have bought a house.
It's nuts.
It's nuts.
But what's nuts about it?
One of them particularly was sitting on this thing, sitting on this dream, sitting on this goal for a year, 2, 3 years. And he just got it out of his head.
Yeah.
And he tied it to some behaviors and some habits. And then bang, he put it out there in the universe and it happened. Almost straight away. So big lesson there for me. And yeah, I'm just really proud of the team as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I can't separate the fact that we had a record start to the year, but also personally, everyone in their own lives was spiraling up. It's just and this is actually quite fitting for this episode. This episode, we really want to focus on team leadership, where owners are going wrong, where it is their fault, where it's not their fault, and particularly with, as we dial it in, the struggles with the Gen Zers.
Those pesky Gen Zers.
Yeah.
We thought millennials were bad.
Fuckers. Yeah. So, yeah, the core question is, are Gen Zers impossible to manage, entitled and a pain in the ass, or are business owners just sucky leaders? All right, so Liv, we're live and we don't even have to say a name. So ask us the question. We're all here.
Okay, so Gen Zers are annoying the crap out of me, and I don't know how to manage them, motivate them, or just do I avoid them altogether?
Do you avoid Gen Zers? You're going to be fucked if you avoid Gen Zers, because like that is the next generation that we have to hire.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about the next generation in general for everything.
Yeah, I hear you. Luckily, we've got a Gen Zer staring at me. So I'm going to pass the mic to Soph.
I feel like people are like, they could call themselves a Gen Z or they're actually a Gen Z.
There's certain traits of a Gen Zer that I hate associating myself with, but I actually have had to like grow out of because we have had instant access to everything. If you're not winning straight away, that you're doing something wrong. Yeah, there's no resilience there because you get your participation award. As you grow up, your parents want the best for you because they maybe had a different experience. So they go massive, like all out for every single graduation. My dad talks about this all the time, actually. Like, what the fuck are we doing by the time you get to the wedding? Because like you guys have been just
Pampered.
Yeah, pampered your whole life. So I think because of that, everyone wants to make 100K working from a van, doing no work. And
van life.
It's like an easy thing to be allured into, to be attracted to. But I think it's because a lot of Gen Zers are avoiding discomfort. It's a character thing. So my thing is a two-parter. It's one, like there are traits of a Gen Zer, and some Gen Zers, if they have the right character and the desire to be almost, developed into a way better human who operates with a higher potential. But it always is going to come down to like, are they willing? Do they have the right values and the right character? And then you've got to match it with what you do as the owner.
Sometimes I feel like you get the gift of the gab and then the actions don't align, which I'm obviously all for hiring and firing by values and all of that, but it's sometimes tricky.
It's like the nodding head, like, yep, I get it. And then nothing changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two different things that you've got to look at. It's like, are they on values and open to feedback? And then are they actually behaving that way and getting the output? And after a certain point, you're going to know the answer. Are they on your team or are they off the boat and actually slowing you down? And most of the time when we've dealt with like, and I say we, I'm also Gen Z, but I think I have the desire to be grown and developed into someone who has more resilience, can put up with some discomfort and do something bigger with my life than the people in the van stuck in that kind of dream. So you've got to find those people and then you've got to bring that out of them. Like something that Doza and Ben have always done and still do is they've always believed in a greater future for me than I ever believed for myself. I think they both have the most generous assumption of everyone that they bring into their team because they've gone through the hiring funnel. They act as if this is the person who we're going to take to the moon because that's where we're going, and invest personally and professionally in development until there's a reason that's not the case and they're not performing and they're not behaving on values. That's when you bring in like a 3-strike rule or something like that. But if you get stuck in like no Gen Z is going to do this, then you're going to have issues with like building your dream team because that's kind of who is coming through the workforce now.
If there's like a Gen Z hiring cheat sheet, one of the things that like throws an alarm off straight away is when you're in the interview process and you're talking about the job and the dream and the goals and where the company's going. And the first question that comes back is about where do I park my car or flexibility. It's like game over, we're done. You know, we're talking about our big goals, our future, our vision, where we're going. Do you have any questions about the business? Yeah, is the car spot free? No, something's out here.
Obviously, I'm getting better and better at hiring and everything like this as I go. An example and the reason why the Gen Z question comes to mind is just had a Gen Z. I feel like I played and made the dream and we had our weekly one-on-ones and we were like lining it up. As it came to sort of the just over 2-month mark, it was like started just always being late and sort of the truth started coming out and we kind of did 3 strikes and we're like, this is just not a good values fit and that's all good and you got this other stuff going on. And do you know what I got on the phone from him? Can you talk to my mum? Because I don't know.
No fucking way. That is a line I would never cross.
Talking to members and
oh my God.
just some of that's like line stuff where it's like, really?
Liv, that's fucked up.
All right, Liv, I've got a question for you. How do you know it's not your fault? Your job is to make sure that you just hold standards, okay? As long as you've got the hiring funnel in place, you had in place like who you were looking for and you set the standards at the start and you set the expectations at the start in terms of like who we're looking for, these are the team meetings, this will be the KPI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why in the hiring funnel we have little mini quizzes or ways that they can actually fail before they come into the studio to begin with. And then once they're there, you've got to just keep holding standards with these guys. What I can promise you, mate, is that there are actually some gems in this generation. I think the moment as business owners we start thinking Gen Zers are all fucked, we're fucked. Or just get really good at AI. But they do exist. And what I would ask,
Just got to develop them.
well, who do you think you got to develop first?
Myself.
Bingo. So my question for you is, what makes you think that a Gen Zer should follow you? What makes you think that you're worth following? What's your vision that is so fucking meaningful to these guys that they actually want to be part of? Do you have an answer?
Right now?
Yeah. Exactly. So start there. This is a generation that they want different things to generations beforehand, okay? Just like our mums and dads wanted different things and their mum and dads wanted different things to what we wanted when we entered the workforce. For these guys, what we know about the Gen Zers is they want connection. You know, financial stuff can be important to them or not. I think a lot of them have kind of resigned to the fact that probably saving up for a house deposit might not be their idea of the big prize for these guys. So they want experiences. They want to feel connected. They want to feel like what they're doing has some some purpose in their life. Now, I just think that the moment you start to understand who your people are and what drives them, what motivates, what do they really fucking care about, then if you tap into that, Liv, you'll find a way. Business owners will find a way to connect with these guys more than anyone else has been able to understand them. Or am I wrong?
Well, I do think it's that Ben said before about the parking thing. And while I agree it shouldn't be their first question, I do think that there's some give and take. Like,
Ooh, like what?
Gen Z do value flexibility. Like, you guys do have a global...
It's not a flexible work arrangement. The fucking studio is where it is. Like, you can't work from home and be an instructor.
Well, there's that. But if she's talking about someone who as well didn't want KPIs and wasn't resilient enough to like be held to a target and
What was
that
their
is
target?
the reality.
5-star trainer.
Sorry. This is definitely a classic case of they've got the Gen Z-itis. They need to do some work and they're not your person. And that's perfectly fine. There are other people out there. We do want different things now. We expect more from an employer than
You
before.
expect more.
But let me
you expect more?
Purpose. Like, I want to know that I'm working for a company that's going somewhere and that cares about me as well. If I'm investing my time into you guys, we want to make sure that we're mutually aligned to spiraling upwards together.
But it's a job. Like, it's also like...
Yeah, because Gen Z want purpose from their careers now. It's not the same as back in the day when you would go into a 9 to 5, you clock in, earn your keep. That's a key difference. So the outdated management styles of like, I'm just here to get my paycheck, it's actually not about that anymore. So that's why when people incentivize or try and incentivize and throw money at shit, it doesn't work, because there's a core part of this whole thing that is missing, and that is your business means something to them and they mean something to you.
I was being a little bit facetious when I was talking about the flexibility and the car sports.
No, you can't take it back
Because
now.
because it is important, and we get it. Like, as bosses, we get it, but it should be the first question out of your mouth.
No,
when
it should,
you-
it
in the
should not
interview.
be the first question.
No,
like,
but
have
it's-
some decorum.
Yes, it's in the stack. And look, how we remunerate our team now is very different to how it was 5 or 10 years ago. It's less around the fixed pay rise matching inflation every year. It's more around the other things, the experiences. Even like our team's bonuses at Christmas, it wasn't $1 payment. It was, we like, what motivates this person? So she loves coffee, so she got a coffee machine. Did that mean more to you getting a coffee machine than us giving you some money to buy a coffee machine?
Yeah, I fucking love it. I love
That's
it.
a good question.
Yeah, because you guys care about me, and like that, I can see that through how I'm being. I love money. Don't get me wrong. I love money, but it needs to also mean something at the end of the day to me.
All right, Liv, was that helpful?
Yes, very.
What did you grab from that and what are you going to change?
I'm going to not avoid Gen Zers. And I have a future for them, and that they are excited about it, and and I figure out probably what motivates them individually a bit more rather than your classic standard.
Yeah, that's good ownership. What I would say is until they've figured out robotics and there's a robot at your studio that can run a class for you and they don't really care about where the parking is, yeah, you can't avoid Gen Zers. They are an absolute natural part of our business moving forward, and we just got to learn how to work with them more. Start with purpose and the connection, mate.
Great, thank you.
See you, buddy.
See you,
Bye.
Bye. I want to add on to that as well. Like, when I say flexibility in any role, I also want to know that just as much as we're going to work hard, you're going to care that I play hard as well. And you guys show that. Like, that's why it works. You know, that's why Gen Z could thrive in a company like ours, because it's not just about like hustle and like, I don't care about you, I care about outcomes. Yes, we care about outcomes, but I know that you need to be at your best to do that.
But like, where's the resilience from this generation?
It doesn't exist, bro. Like, it's not there. You're
Why
right.
not?
Because we've been handed everything on a platter, because our mums cuddle us at night, you know, like, because we haven't had to go out there and rough it as much as the previous generation. But that's why the character is the first thing I went to. When I first inquired about a role with you guys, it wasn't because I had the qualifications. It was because you said something in your ad about character. So that's, again, speaking to the hiring funnel. It hasn't been an easy ride. I've definitely had to grow out of some of the things that against the grain of what my generation are like that I fucking hate now.
Like what?
That they do want comfort and that they think that I'm getting overworked or like I'm burnt out. It's like, no, you're not. Or I'm like passionate 9 to 5 and then like, don't talk to me on the weekends. I have had conversations with you about that. I have now seen the light.
Apology accepted. But we've got to figure this out, because we've got a whole generation of business owners who are probably, if not, they might not be the boomers. What are we? X's.
X's, yeah.
There's X's.
You are a millennial. You can
I'm-
stop
I'm-
pretending.
We're on the cusp.
Yeah, we're on the cusp. And then there's like upper end millennials. You can't avoid it. We've got
No,
to
you
hire
can't.
Gen Zs, okay?
Yeah.
Whilst I don't believe that they're all fucked, there is certainly a bit of a worry amongst the business community about what are we with this generation.
I don't agree, because the owners, they need to make sure that they deserve to have these people in their business who are going to care. If you keep telling me like, no one cares about my business as much as I do, it's like, well, do you care about them as much as they do? How is that aligned if you're just going to be like, you need to make me money, show up to work, don't care about anything else? There is definitely a degree where like the line is there, don't bring some stuff to work, but we need to make sure that we're all coming in the same direction together. We all care about the same things, and I'm going to be motivated, incentivized. There's going to be transparency. I have access to a wealth of knowledge,
Yeah.
a world of different employment options. So like as an owner, earn your keep, earn the people that are going to be amazing for your business.
What's the superpower in that generation? And I think ultimately it comes down to standards. If you look at the Blues in the footy, right? Nathan Cleary, like he's a Z. So like you look at these guys who have had structure and systems and training and discipline. He's one of the best already. No one's looking at Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai and worrying about their ethic or their attitude.
Yeah.
These guys are committed.
But is that a pretty easy example to go to? Because they're like high-performing fucking athletes. They don't want to do it. There's 17 other number 7s that want to take his spot.
Why do they want to do that? Because it's a winning team.
It wasn't 5 years ago.
True. No, but actually there's something in that. That's something interesting. Because, 5 years ago when they weren't winning, shout out to Gus, they weren't winning, right?
winning.
So that's a great example of a team where their culture was losing. And then it took a visionary to come in, bring in a 3 to 5 year plan, center of excellence. He built the
Junior
pathways,
academy.
junior academies, like the whole thing. And now we've got like a dynasty on our hands. They've gone back to back, 4 times? But the reason why people want to be in there, and I know, is that people take a pay cut to go and work at the Panthers. People take a pay cut to go and play with Penrith. I feel like there's a mesh between, there's a bit of what the owners need to do and what they need to be responsible for, back to your thing about ownership, but also the Gen Zers. If you were the sort of like the big sister of the Gen Zers, what would you say if you were mentoring a whole generation? And I'm not talking about the fucking losers, okay? Because they're in every generation. I don't think that is particularly unique to the Zers. There's losers in every generation. But the people who want to actually have a fucking go and they've got something about them, what would your advice be to those ones?
You need to stop seeking comfort. It's going to feel like shit. The sooner that you submit to that, find some good mentors along the way and seek out what you're not doing well and develop yourself as a human. The further you're going to go, it doesn't take much to stand out and be remarkable these days. And that is so true. So if you feel like you've got this bigger future in yourself and you're looking for that next thing, the more work you can do on you and stop blaming every other fucking person out there for why you're sad, broke, unhappy, or want to be in a van because you're escaping your problems. Use that negative feeling as feedback, work on yourself and go and find people who are doing big things and look for the clues that they're leaving.
Gen Zs are impossible to manage. They're delusional, they're entitled, they're selfish, they lack resilience. Is it their problem or do business owners just suck at being leaders?
It's both, and you're wrong. They're not impossible to manage. All of the things that we've just spoken about are proof that it's both ways, give and take.
Okay, we've got some extra listener questions that have come through, popped through the Instagram. I popped up a little question box the other day, and this is all about team leadership and the struggles that they have with their staff. Soph, over to you.
Yeah, so my team treats me like their mate, not their boss. How do I fix this without looking like a dickhead or an asshole? It's actually what they say.
Oh, the friend zone.
The friend zone.
But it's very hard to get out of the friend zone once you're in there. My advice on that one is to avoid it at all costs. This is a job. Okay. So start with that employer-employee relationship. And then over time, once they build up that trust, once they build up that performance, once they build up the goodwill, then you can invest in the friendship. It's too risky if you.
But what if they're
start
already
with
there?
that. If you're already there?
What if they're already in the friend zone? The question I got from Louis was, are you actually mates outside of work or is a professional, like there's a real clear distance? And I said, I reckon you'd want to make sure that if you guys were in a bar brawl, you'd still back each other up, right? If someone was going to pick on you, what would I do? I'd laugh for it a little bit. I'd wait for Chuck to jump in first. Of course we back each other up.
Yeah.
The whole team would get the fuck around you. So I'd want to make sure that like you're at that level, but not to the point where I can't hold you to a standard and have a conversation with you about hitting your KPIs. That for me is where you've got to draw the line, right? We can be mates from a position of like, I'll back you the fuck up. But at the same time, like you do have KPIs, you've got a job, you still need to deliver on that. And we have had those chats.
Yeah,
right?
we have. I want to add to that, a high performance relationship or friendship or anything like that, you should be able to do that and it's actually going to bring you closer. I do that with my friends. Like we'll call each other out on things or call them forward to, nah, you're better than that. You've done that to me and I do that to you as well. Ben, you've definitely had some conversations with me. I'm going to help you get more bench presses. We actually care about each other.
Okay, but what's this person's name?
Samantha.
So what if Samantha went to this person and said, hey, I kind of need you to hit those sales conversions. And the salesperson or their team member says, come on, don't worry about it. Because I don't know, you guys were fucking drinking the night before or...
Okay, you need to have a professional distance from these people. If you're already mate, you need to audit your circle. Like you need to curate your environment. You need to take a stand with that. That's the boundary that you set. So it's like, love you, we are mates. And that's why I need you here. That's the standard that we have in this environment. I know what our standards are. I would not fucking cross them and I would be gladly told, even if it's hard to hear, I'd want to be told because I don't want to let you down because we're more than just like a co-worker in the fucking next to the water bubbler.
Yeah. So quite simply, what I would do with this person is just renegotiate. I just renegotiate the whole situation, right? It's like, all right, cool. Like we can be mates, but as long as we're hitting fucking targets, right? And we can be both together, but we want to make sure we don't blow the boundaries here. It happened to us.
It happened to us. There was a recent example where a big thing that we do every single month is we look at our team's performance based on how they're performing and how they're going on values as well, the performance phase matrix. You need to be hitting both. You need to be on values and you need to be performing. The conversation I'll often have is like, I like you as a person. These numbers don't reflect you as a person or how I feel about you.
Oh, yeah.
The numbers are telling a story about your performance at work. The friendship aside, everything aside, we need to talk about that in this setting. And that's it. Take the emotion out of it.
This is a fucking huge one. All the time we get asked these kinds of questions. How do I keep my best team members from burning out while still keeping high standards?
What I would say about overwhelm and burnout is to do the time and energy audit. Quite simply. My view is overwhelm and burnout, it doesn't exist. It's in your fucking head because you're doing too much of the shit you shouldn't be doing and it doesn't light you up. So you know what you should be doing instead is look at your do a time and energy audit and you look at all the things that you've been doing in the last 2 weeks, even down to the 15-minute blocks. I don't give a fuck how deep you go on this thing, right? And for every single thing that you do, how much time have you been spending on it the last 2 weeks? The second thing is did it make you money? No. And is it a smiley face? As in, is it the shit you like doing? Is it like what really fucking lights you up? And typically what we see from people that we work with, all the business owners we work with, is they spend 40% of their fucking time doing shit that doesn't make them money and doesn't light them up.
40 is a bit fucking good.
That's 2 full fucking days.
It's more than 40. It's more like 80% of their week.
Well, that's even fucking worse then.
I know.
So that's where your burnout is and your overwhelm. If you actually spent most of your week or 80% of your week doing the shit you love, that makes you more money so you can do things with people you love, you wouldn't be burnt out.
How does that relate to a manager or a team member though?
It's the same thing. You've got them doing the wrong thing. Do you remember when we hired you?
Yes.
Right? The big fucking job ad said, the ultimate studio manager role. Why was it the ultimate role?
Well, as I always say, all I knew how to do was look at my member number going
Boom.
up.
Exactly. We stripped everything out of your managers. We stripped everything out of the manager's role that could have been done by someone in the Philippines better than the manager. Most managers that we meet, you open up the laptop and you show them mind body and they fucking eyes roll back in their skull, right? They don't want to do admin. A lot of them aren't great at it. Or they might be great at it, but there's nothing worse than being good at something you just shouldn't do.
I don't think it's just about the admin. I think that's oversimplifying where these people are at. It's back to this Gen Z conversation, this lack of resilience, this if you don't hit this standard and this KPI, it's that they're making it mean something about them. When they fail, they're going, I'm a failure rather than I need to develop this skill and I'm going to do it.
Is this person's manager a Gen Zer?
Yeah, most of the time, yes, this person's is, but I've heard this for millennials as well, people who are going closer to 40. And I think it's just the way that the world is at the moment. There's so much noise out there. If you consume the wrong kind of TikTok feed, then it's all these Americans talking about burnout and their work culture is so different. But if you go down that rabbit hole, you start believing this bullshit instead of looking at where you're the problem. You're working through busy tasks to feel productive and you feel guilty you didn't get anything good done. Burnout. That's a very good way to, feel better and comfort yourself about it. But I really don't think it's just about the admin. I think it's about these people like me fearing failure, thinking they're letting the team down. I'm not hitting this standard, so I'm a failure. I'm usually a high achiever. And it really affects who they think they are, their self-concept. There is work to be done there for the person to take ownership on that, but also for an owner to be aware that it's not just about a time and energy audit.
Owner's fucking therapists now. A business owner's fucking therapists now for their Gen Z workforce.
They're not, but I do think it's part of the reality is that we do need to help people develop their character now more than ever because it's going to... what's the alternative?
But these business owners aren't their parents.
No, they're not their parents. I think something that is a gift, though, is if you can care enough about a person and see their potential and their desire to grow because they're on values and they've got the right kind of character. They just need a little bit of a steer. You don't have to become the therapist, but highlighting and calling someone forward to say, this is where I think you need to work on blah, blah, and blah, so we can hit these targets. It doesn't mean anything about you. We're just lacking these skills. So if you can come on this journey with me and look at some of the shit that's holding you back, we're going to go to the moon together, to the thing that you said you wanted to do together. So here are some resources that I've found helpful. And what you do in your spare time is up to you. Hire a coach, go to therapy, do your thing. Support them through that. When you say that perfect manager is not bought, they're bred, they're built, that's exactly what that looks like.
You reckon we did that?
A fucking oath. I'm so grateful you did that.
I actually agree with you.
In terms of, do you ever see those owners, so if they hire their manager and they're a bit loosey-goosey with the old KPIs, and then those managers feel overwhelmed and overworked.
That's fucked.
So why is that happening there? You said, the first example you said, they get overwhelmed because they're not hitting their KPIs, but in that loosey-goosey thing, they're still getting overwhelmed. Why is that, do you think?
Because they don't know what they're building. They don't know what they're aiming for. So they'll continue to work and work and work and work to do a good job, but they don't know what a good job looks like, feels like, smells like, sounds like. So they just keep working and that actually does burn them out because they're probably working on the wrong things, but no one would know that because it's not being measured.
How many managers have you worked with over the last 5 years?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
More or less than 100.
It'd be past 500 managers, closer to 1,000.
What percentage of those 500 managers that you've worked with had clear KPIs and clear coaching from their owners?
I wish I was joking when I say there were none.
Zero.
There is none. Even the ones who are great and they want to win, there's always been a conversation that needed to happen to tighten that up. Even the best ones, the best owners, I'm shocked that they get this far without a clear KPI. It shocks me.
Fuck. Oh my God.
I wish I was joking. Doze. For everyone listening, what the fuck did they do about it?
Who?
These owners.
Okay, so let me break this down. For everyone listening to this, right, I got you guys back. And for managers listening to this, I got your back as well. Like, there is a fucking blatant week. Like, we're going to find this. Like, we're going to, there's no other way. There's no other way. Owners, managers, we're going to join the dots here. From an owner's perspective, I really want to make sure that you guys are putting in adequate hiring, recruitment, and management and leadership processes in your fucking business. The first thing is got to start with your hiring process. The first thing that you've got to do is you've got to design your ideal dream team. You wouldn't go out to the fucking shops without a shopping list of thinking about what you're going to get. Otherwise, you just roam around like we do and just fucking pick up anything, right? And ultimately, we get home and we've bought the wrong thing. What does the fucking thing look like? If you're building your dream team, decide who is in your dream team, what positions are they going to play, whereabouts are you going to have one manager? You're going to have a couple of rovers, you're going to have a lunchtime specialist, are you going to have a 9:30 specialist? Are you going to have a yoga specialist? Are you going to have a strength and conditioning? Like, what are you looking for? Who are you looking for? Once you decide who you need to fill, and please, for fuck's sake, you got to hire before you're desperate. Otherwise, you'll just find anyone with like 2 arms and 2 legs, or maybe not sometimes. So once you decide who it is, then you've got to decide what your non-negotiables are. The non-negotiable is, yes, we do fucking meet up on a buddy every monthly Fridays to do a big team session. If you can't do that, non-negotiable, right? Yes, we do weekly team meetings. Can't do that, non-negotiable. Yes, I do need you for 20 hours a week. Not a fucking surprise, right? Back to what Liv was saying. It's like all those things we should have tested for right at the start, and then you take that to market. You write a fucking good job ad. A job ad that really appeals to the character of the person that you're looking for, not just availabilities. Then you put that up there, and then your hiring recruitment process needs to match the intensity of what we teach in sales to make sure that you're eking out that person. Because right from the start, those first impressions count. If I'm a high performer and I want to join a high performing team, like, do you think the Penrith Panthers would fuck around with recruitment? It's someone's full-time job.
Yep.
Right? So that's where you set the standards right from the start. The second thing is everyone's got to have a culture of KPIs and feedback. Where the owners and the managers are going to meet in the middle is, I care about you and you care about the mission that we're on. I don't need you to care about the business as much as I do, but I want to. It's my job as a great leader to make sure that, or to find ways to connect what I believe you're motivated by to the mission that we're on together.
Yeah, and from a manager's perspective, I think it's a gift. If you've got an owner who would listen to this podcast and take action on what Dozer just said, it is a gift and not a curse to have KPIs, because you then know where your role starts and stops. You can track numbers so you have more control over it, and stop making it about you. It's not about you being a failure or you being shit at this or I'm not good enough. Any of those bullshit beliefs I hear all the time, or it's my boss's fault or it's the weather or any of that. Go inward. Like, I need to develop these 3 skills. So have a conversation with your boss about that. Put that in your development session. What are you going to do about it? What books are you reading? What are you looking at on Google? What are you watching on YouTube? Because if you want to be truly successful and a part of a strong, powerful mission like that and impact people, like what you're doing in the community is so important. If you're inside your head about a couple of numbers on a spreadsheet, and instead of the impact that you're making and the skills you need to develop to do that, then you're doing the wrong thing. You're focusing on the wrong thing. It's not going to be easy, but I think 100% can say it's worth it.
I love what you said. Like, KPIs are a gift, not a curse. I think that's the
fucking
the
trust
nugget
me.
there.
Thousands of managers, no idea what their targets are. They want them. So if you have them, I wouldn't be sleeping on it.
All right, so let's finish this one up with a lightning round of like quick questions. Like, first things that come to mind. I got one for you and I got one for you. First thing here, what's the worst hiring mistake you've ever made?
Just, you know,
Sophie. Yeah, exactly.
no, just like we touched on it before, just being desperate, rushing in, and just taking like the first available person who like kind of meets half of what we need because there's a shift to fill the next morning.
Yeah.
And then you go through 3 months of shit, and then you start back at the same spot you were at before.
Soph, what's one non-negotiable trait every great manager should have?
The ability to take on feedback and do something with it.
Listeners, if you take one thing from this episode, it's this. If your team is not performing, it's your fault. And that should be a liberating feeling. I'd start by fixing your leadership. I'd start by working on your leadership. Read the books, reach out to us. There's so much free stuff available right now. But if you work on your leadership, what we know is like millionaires build systems, billionaires build people. And ultimately, that's where we want to get to. Now, we've got a whole bunch of resources on team. If you want a little bit of help on that, we've got a free resource available, which is our 5-step hiring and leadership little cheat sheet. So head over to my Instagram, hey.dozer. hit the follow so it doesn't go into message requests, and then send me a message that says TEAM, TEAM, and my team will send you our little 5-step cheat sheet that our owners absolutely love. Next week, we're going to break down a toxic trend that has emerged in the industry, and it's a virus that's affecting these businesses that we see out there struggling, and how to fix it fast. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If something resonated with you, then do one of two things. Either leave a review or send this episode to a mate who's in the industry who might need to hear this. But if you want more right now, because your head might be spinning and you're like, all right, what the hell do I do right now? Then in the show notes, you'll find a link to where you can book in for a free 15-minute checkup on your studio, where we get to have a look at how you're going right now and where some of the kind of quick win opportunities are to get you moving faster. I can't wait to be back in your ears next week. And if you're listening to this right now, I want you to know that I love you, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for you, and I'm in your corner. You are on the right track and I believe in you. So keep going, and I'll see you next week.